let's say price goes up $1. You might feel super elated, super excited. But as price goes down $1, you might feel completely dejected. You might feel like a complete failure. But the point is, it's just data. It's just numbers on a screen. Your value, your worth has nothing to do with that. A, you've got to find your trading plan, and B, you have to enact it. Welcome to the OVTLYR Trading Room. My name is Christopher Uhl. I've twice been awarded top 100 people in finance. I was mentored by 5 of the market wizards, the best traders of all time. I've been successfully trading since 2009, and this is where we save time, make money, and start winning with less risk together as a team. But before we start trading, let's get into the lesson of the day. All right, so be sure to stick around to see how we rank this out of 10, and subscribe if you haven't already. So let's go look at this video here. And this is called AMD stock gets a big downgrade. Should investors worry? Let's take a look at that.
Advanced micro devices, or better known in the retail community as advanced money destroyer, is down another.
Okay, that's the first time I've heard that. Advanced money destroyer. Let's go look at the chart of advanced money destroyer real quick. Yeah, okay. So not all that long ago, we covered a video where somebody was saying you need to buy AMD hand over fist. And at that time, I was saying, look, it's in a clear downtrend right now. Very obvious, very plain downtrend. You don't have to do anything when a stock is trending downward like this. And jumping into something when it's maybe hit a bottom is a lot harder to make sense versus something that has hit a bottom and is starting to move back up, right? And yeah, that's not looking so good.
4% on Wednesday. Now it's true that the overall market was also quite red. But AMD specifically, if we look at the semiconductors that we are following here on the channel, AMD, Intel, Applied Materials, ASML, etc., you can see them all here on the list. We can see that that one was down more than the rest, 4.3%. We can also see that in the last 3 months, this is the name in the semiconductor industry that has underperformed the most, even worse than Intel, only in the last 3 months. In the last 3 months, AMD is actually down closer to 30%. Intel is down 14.73%. AMD actually, since the peak of last year, is down over 40%. Now, it's true if we zoom out more, then yes, this stock has performed quite well. It's up over 150%. Now, as a market,
well, since 2020, it's up over 150%. Okay, but really, what do we care about, right? We're looking over the last few weeks or so, and AMD has been in a huge downtrend ever since that point. In fact, I think I'm on Mahesh's account. Let me switch over to my account. Yeah, my account looks way better than Mahesh's account. Just saying. There we go. So yeah, AMD not looking good at all, like he's saying. Let's go back over to the video here.
Market cap of under $200 billion and a forward PE of 27 times. So what exactly has happened? Should retail investors worry about the recent struggles in this stock? What should we?
Well, let me give my I'll give my opinion before hearing his. That way I'm not clouded by that. If I were an AMD shareholder right now, I'd be freaking pissed, right? I'd be really freaking pissed because when did we set these highs? This high back in March, from the peak back in March to today, we're down 47%. You're telling me that if you're a retail investor, that you wouldn't be disappointed, you wouldn't be upset if you're down 47%? I sure as hell would be. Absolutely. But then again, you don't have to hold this all the way down, right? We talk all the time about using these moving averages here to know, if a stock is trending up or if a stock is trending down. And it's very obvious at the moment it's trending down. Now, the way that I criterize, I don't know if that's a word. Criterize, you've got the 10 under the 20 with price under the 50, right? So you got the 10's the blue line, 20's the black line, and 50's the red line. That's your short, your intermediate, and your long-term averages. If they're all moving in one direction, that's your trend. Right. And so for me personally, I would be super pissed if I were an AMD shareholder. But then again, I wouldn't be an AMD shareholder at this point here. Right. I mean, the last time that I would be even considering an AMD position on here may have been around October when it was, before it went down 26%. So yeah, I don't know. And I don't know if he's an AMD shareholder either. We're going to take a look at that in just a minute. Let's catch up on the chat. ESAT Direct says, move to California. I don't know, man. I think I want to get as far away from California as possible. It's on fire right now. Bluefin says, hi. ESAT says, just found you yesterday on your channel. I'm glad to be here. We're very cool, man. We're really glad to have you here. Mikey Mike is here. AMD's a good stock to go with, in my opinion, but it won't skyrocket like Nvidia did. Probably undervalue makes investors want to invest. Marco, hey, first time I've seen you here. Glad you're here, my friend. First time joining a live with you. I wanted to thank you for the content and sharing your opinions. Hey, this is so cool seeing all these new people showing up. Arnold, hey, you're new here as well. First time I've seen you. Glad you guys can make it. Peter's from the Netherlands, though. Peter comes all the time. Glad to see you, Peter. So, okay, let's take a look at, actually, let's go back to the video. I want to see what he has to say. We're only a minute into it. But then I'll give some more perspective.
We expect from next quarter. Let's discuss that in this video. If you enjoy this type of videos, hit all the buttons, like, subscribe, all of that. Very close to reaching 70,000 subscribers. The goal for this year is 100,000. So if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Would really appreciate that. If you want to support me even further, do check out the link down in the description and in the pinned comment with the top 10 best stocks to buy now, or go to fool.com/investor. Thank you very much. First up, I want to go over the current average analyst price target, despite the recent downgrade, which is one of the main reasons why.
Ooh, okay. Let's look at analyst price targets here in OVTLYR. So if you go into OVTLYR, type in AMD at the top, you'll see a few different sections here. But what I want to focus on over here is the stock news, sector news, and analyst ratings. Go to the stock news right here. We can actually see today is the 9th. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positive stories and 1 negative story on AMD coming through. This sentiment here is all I'm looking at. Why AMD stocks might be all ready to buy. 3 smart picks. Could AMG join the league of the Magnificent Seven, etc. So you've got several positive news sources coming through there. Then we can go over the analyst ratings. And, oh, interesting. So there was a downgrade right here in HSBC Securities, which is probably what he's going to be talking about, from a buy position to a reduced position with a price target at 110. Current price is 120-ish right now. It's at 121. And actually, funny enough, OVTLYR just gave a buy signal on AMD as well. I didn't expect that. January 8th. Now, I will honestly tell you something right here. My style of trading, I wouldn't take this signal, but your style of trading may absolutely look right for you, right? Now, the reason I wouldn't trade it is because it's in this downtrend. But if that's your style of trading, by all means, my friend, we did get that buy signal. We see the market breadth for the tech sector. What this shows right here is the percent of stocks with buy signals in the tech sector. As you can see, that had been going down, but it had us now flatlined and is now starting to go up. So the tech sector is market breadth wise getting more bullish, but still for me, I wouldn't trade this personally because it is still in that downtrend. Once it flattens out, once it gets out of this area here, then that's when I would be interested, right? Once it starts moving up like this, right? Let's say, actually, those are wrong. Let me remove that. Once it moves out of something like this, right? I would expect something like this. And then maybe a pop-up, maybe. But I would wait until those moving averages cross back. One thing to note is that it's currently inside of an order block. There's another order block below it, and then it's got this one up here. I'm not too worried about that. And actually, there's a few below it. So what an order block is big institutional orders that are waiting to be filled, and it will stay there until it gets filled, until we've got a price on the other side of it. So it could act as support here, and we could see a bounce. I don't know. But for me, not one that I personally would take any of my money and risk. Let me catch up on the chat. Marco says, greetings from Germany. He says strong buy for him. It's one crazy deal, don't you think? Dude, I'm not looking for deals. I'm looking for things that are strong, right? The reason I say that is, right, you could say that 150 was a crazy deal. You could say that 140 was a crazy deal. You could say that 130 was a crazy deal. Now you could say that 120 is a crazy deal. None of those deals I want to take. I want it to find its bottom and start moving up. So let's continue on with this.
Why the stock is down today? The average analyst price target still sits 49.68% higher than the price we're at today. But of course, those averages can come down, can also go up, probably depending on the next earnings report and call. Looking at what the market expects this company to do next quarter, which, by the way, they'll report earnings at the end of the month, which, of course, we are going to cover when the results come out. The expected revenue number sits at $7.53 billion. That would be a growth of 10.45%. EBITDA of $1.82 billion, growing 23.29%. EBIT just over $2 billion, growth of 17.26%. GAAP EPS 62 cents growing 31.5%, and non-GAAP growing 18.17%. We have already seen that before, right? From the bottom line perspective, this company is going to grow quite quickly. So everybody that's saying, oh, forward PE 27 times, even though 27 times isn't really that expensive, you can clearly see that this is a company that is going to grow earnings extremely quickly.
I really appreciate him taking the time to jump into all these fundamentals and everything. It's not what I look at. I literally don't look at fundamentals whatsoever. And that's because I'm only focusing on price. If price is moving in the direction that I want to see, that's all I care about. Because at the end of the day, price is the only thing that pays. Just putting that out there.
Or that's the expected number. So they're expected to grow earnings quite quickly in the next couple of years, much quicker than sales. Although sales in fiscal 25 and 26 still above 20% year-over-year growth. So it's not like you're buying a business that is extremely struggling right now. No, it's a business that is expected to grow quickly. The problem here is, of course, that's the number one player, and that's Nvidia. And that's basically what the analyst said. So they downgraded AMD. This is an analyst from HSBC. They downgraded from buy to reduce and actually lowered their price target from $200 to $110. They say here AMD share price down 24% in the last 3 months versus down 12% for the semiconductor index. Key reasons for the downgrade: AI GPU roadmap less competitive than previously anticipated. I mean, what has changed in the last couple of weeks? Not much. I mean, we've known about the roadmap for quite a while, but okay. AMD unlikely to penetrate the AI GPU market as expected. With regards to the product challenges, MI325 GPU momentum, lukewarm demand due to lower spec HBM3E memory impacted by Samsung's production issues. I guess they'll have to go with Micron and SK Hynix. So for those of us that are owning Micron, I think Micron will see quite a lot of demand, but of course, it's also an issue on the supply side. But maybe I'll have to talk about Micron.
Let's go look at Micron real quick. MU. This one shows a lot more strength compared to AMD, right? Where do I get that from? Well, you've got this sideways trend right here versus AMD. Actually, let me see if I can get a side-by-side real quick. Multi-symbol view. And let's 2x1's fine. Let's do AMD on the left and Micron on the right. Yeah, that's a big difference, right? You've got AMD on the left, which is like falling off a cliff, where you've got Micron on the right, which seems to have found its bottom. This is what I'm looking for here, right? In fact, I've pulled this up so much in the last couple of days. Stock life cycle images. I pulled this up so much in the last few days. Right, you're trying to find, which one was it that I was looking at? If you're trying to get into this long term, if you're trying to get into this when it's found its bottom, right? You don't want to get in during the stage 4 decline, which is what we're seeing in AMD still, right? That's still a stage 4 decline. Whereas stage 1 base right here could be this on the Micron side, right? I mean, this does not look too dissimilar to this. Let me take a screenshot of that so you know what I mean. And I'll put this over here, and then I'll click this, and I'll click this again. Yeah, no, I clicked the wrong thing. Sorry, there we go. This does not look too dissimilar from each other, does it? Right? On the right-hand side, you've got your base and your growth and your top. And then on the right-hand side, you've got your stage 4 decline and then your base again. Now, in theory, right, the bases would stack on top of each other and move up. Whereas if we go on this side of it, right, I still say that this is in the stage 4 decline at the moment, because it just does not seem to show any sort of strength. However, look, I could be completely wrong, because OVTLYR did throw that buy signal today or yesterday. So we'll have to see where that goes.
In another video. Continuing here, AMD's MI350 chip launch in the second half of 2025, progressing as per roadmap, but lacks competitive AI rack solutions. AMD unlikely to compete with Nvidia's NVLink rack platform until late 25 or early 2026 with MI400 launch. And then the market context, competitive pressure from Nvidia, which has established dominance in AI rack solution. Okay, this isn't new. So the outlook, they're saying here, near-term challenges for AMD in the AI GPU market, limiting growth potential. Again, they say here near-term challenges, not longer-term challenges. So we've got a little bit more context here. HSBC thinks AMD will be able to penetrate the AI GPU market as much as it had earlier anticipated. In particular, the firm sees downside to AMD's AI GPU momentum in the first half of 2025, given lukewarm demand for the company's new MI325 GPU. HSBC expects AMD to see lower high bandwidth memory in MI325 due to Samsung's ongoing struggles with ramping up its higher spec HBM3E. AMD is unlikely to have an AI rack solution to compete with Nvidia, as we've said before. As such, it lowered its previous bullish fiscal 25 AI GPU revenue forecast from $12.3 billion to $8.1 billion, which is significantly below the consensus estimate of $9.5 billion. I mean, first of all, I'm sorry to say, it's their own fault that they put an extremely high number before, $12.3 billion, up from what, just over $5 billion that's the expected number for 2024. Sorry to say. I mean, I was personally expecting, based on the numbers that I've seen and the commentary, $10 billion should do the trick. So yeah, the estimated number is $9.5 billion. Their previous number was 12.3. So of course, if they come down from 12.3 billion to 8.1 billion, yes, that's a significant shift here. But as we've said before, this is going to be the focus in the next earnings report and call. That's that AI revenue guidance for 2025. We know that for full year 2024, the number will be more than $5 billion. We also know that at start of 2024, that number was much, much lower, and it kept on raising each and every quarter. Okay, that worked in 2024. As I've been saying the past couple of videos, that's not going to work in 2025. The market is expecting $9.5 billion. So AMD starting 2025 with, let's say, $9 billion, 8 point something billion dollars is, in my opinion, not going to be enough, even if they're going to raise guidance along the way. The market thinks, well, $9.5 billion, we want maybe probably more than just 9.5. And especially, well, with the current momentum, right? If Nvidia keeps on growing and their pie is already quite large, AMD, if they have a highly competitive product, they should be taking more than $9.5 billion. But also, as I've said in previous videos, the problem is not always with regards to the hardware. The problem lies with the software. And that's been the problem with AMD for quite a long time. Hopefully, things will change in 2025 and onwards. Because yes, NVIDIA's huge competitive advantage is software, is CUDA. Now, for free cash flow, we've seen that already in the past. For free cash flow, this company also expects to grow well.
More fundamental
stuff happen really after the next earnings report and call, because the market doesn't like uncertainty, and we'll get probably a lot of answers in the next couple of weeks. Well, what is it? 28th of January. That's when they have that earnings report and call. So all the answers will be given on that day. And then
yeah, exactly. So all the answers that you're looking for will be given on that day, I guess. But let me ask you in the chat, if you were an AMD shareholder, because that was the question. AMD stock gets a big downgrade. Should investors worry? Let me ask you in the chat, if you were an AMD shareholder, if you are an AMD shareholder, are you worried? I'm not going to give any more of my perspective. I'm actually wanting to hear from you. Let me know in the chat what you think. Let me catch up on the chat here. Marco, for a person who struggles in trading basically psychology-wise, would you have a recommendation for a book, Christopher? Oh my gosh, would I? So I had the opportunity to work with 5 market wizards. One that I was not able to wrote this book. Where is it at? There it is. This is the #1 book that you need right there. Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. This is my #1 all-time favorite trading psychology book. No doubt, hands down whatsoever. Basically, he really boils down to, if price is going up, let's say price goes up $1, you might feel super elated, super excited. But as price goes down $1, you might feel completely dejected. You might feel like a complete failure. But the point is, it's just data. It's just numbers on a screen. Your value, your worth has nothing to do with that. You've still got to enact, A, you've got to find your trading plan, and B, you have to enact it. Because how many times have you, let's say you've said you're going to get out of a stock when it hits $20, right? It's been coming down, and you're like, oh man, I can't do anymore. And it hit $20. And then you're like, well, 1950 is not so bad. And then you hold it for a little bit longer. And you're like, well, I mean, it's already at 1950. Well, let's just make it $19, right? And then it goes a little bit lower. And then it's $18. And you're like, shh, I should have sold when it was 20, right? 10% higher. I struggled with that too. I really struggled with that for many years. I know exactly what you're saying. The way that I get around that, the way that I was taught to get around it, and the way that it talks about in this book here, Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. I don't even have an affiliate link for that. Just go on Amazon, buy it. It'll be the best $10 you ever spent. In fact, I think I got mine used for like $8. the way to get around that is to, number one, have a plan, and number two, be disciplined in yourself enough to follow that plan. There's a video on our OVTLYR YouTube channel where it talks about trading psychology with the market wizards, and it was this really great couple of videos that we found, and we dissected them kind of like we do, talking about different things, and it is a very, very, very good hour and a half of your time. So I would absolutely go over into our OVTLYR YouTube channel and grab a copy, or not grab a copy of that, but check out that video. Marco says, thank you. Have a look at it. Currently reading Van Thorpe's Clever Trading, which sounds like, I've never read Clever Trading, but I have, what's that other one by Van Thorpe? Oh, I was thinking of Van Tharp. This one here. Trade Your Way to Financial Freedom. It's okay. It's okay. It's not my favorite. Sorry. Teleport back to the OVTLYR Global headquarters. Mikey Mike said he got it for $23 on Amazon paperback, and I believe it's on Kindle too. Very good Kindle read as well. Alan says, made some in AMD, not much, and yes, I'm worried seeing it down 50%. Yeah, dude. I get that. I get that completely. Yeah, I got the name wrong. Same Arthur. Okay. All right, so let's go back and let's we already took a look at several pieces of the stock, right? The buy and sell signal, behavioral. In fact, let's go to the behavioral heat map real quick. So one thing in OVTLYR that we have, right? So we've got the AMD here, and we've got the buy signal that came through today. This section right here is called our behavioral heat map, and I love this indicator. So you're familiar with the phrase, where's it at on here? Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. Well, OVTLYR shows how fearful and greedy people are right here in this heat map, and it's so useful. And so you can see here, it had been getting very greedy around October, and then it got more and more and more fearful, and to a pretty deep fear level right here. It goes from 0 to 50. It was at a R28 level, so red 28 level, and it's starting to come back. So whenever I get into a stock, I really want it to be more on this path over here where it's moving out of fear and into greed, but it is showing that the fear may have peaked and it might be going the opposite direction right now. So I think that's a pretty good start if you're interested in that too. News sentiment, we already talked. Analyst ratings, we already talked. Let's look at capital or OVTLYR results here. So using these buy and sell signals, 35% on OVTLYR here. So not too shabby. So let's give this video a ranking right here. Let's give this video a ranking. So these are the ranking orders, right? Forgettable, painful, frustrating, mediocre, meh, decent. Nobody gets a 7, right? Nobody gets a 7 because that's the default answer. Impressive, epic, or legendary. Put in the chat your ranking. I'll give you my ranking. I feel like I learned a lot, but I also feel like he didn't answer the question, should investors be worried? And I appreciate Alan coming through and giving us his opinion. Alan says, I'm looking for moving from buy and hold to more trading with the trend, which is what brought me to your channel. Dude, you're in the right place. 6, it wasn't impressive. I'm going to follow that as well. Honestly, Marco, that was where my head was at. So that video gets a 6 for me. I mean, that channel, the channel is called Couch Investor. He has good videos. His camera needs to be adjusted down. Just saying, if you're familiar with the rule of thirds, that's where Chris is pointed at right now. It's in the thirds. He's got his eyes at the middle. If he moves his camera just where his eyes are a little bit higher, it'll look way better. Just personal note, just a little critique. But I like how he's going through all the fundamentals and such, the things that I don't look at. So I really feel that is a strong suit of his that we can all learn from. So I appreciate that. All right, so moving on, let's go to today's member highlight. All right, so our member highlights, we jump in the Discord, see what's going on over there. Alex was saying that there's an issue going on with their referral dashboard, and Dave is having that problem as well. Mahesh is currently in India. I think he's supposed to be back Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. So it may be a few days before that gets updated. But Alex, I really appreciate you and Dave letting us know that that's an issue, and we'll get that taken care of right away. Other than that, other than a few new people joining in on the Discord, I haven't seen anybody else. But don't forget, tomorrow we have our weekly winner circle. On Fridays, we give away a $10 Amazon gift card every Friday. And all you have to do to enter is just tell us how you used OVTLYR this week. It's super easy. In fact, Michael Wales told us how he talked about the Nvidia signal that came on the 27th. And he still made a 5.83% gain right there. So way to go for him. And it looks like Dave and Peter. And is this a different Dave? Oh, no. Dave changed his profile picture. Okay. So we got a handful of people, and Ryan even gets to be considered in that as well. So every Friday we do just a quick drawing, and I definitely want to make sure you don't miss out. So if you haven't already, put your stories in the chat. I know the market's not open today, but still, we want to take care of you. Of course, be sure to share all your stories in the Discord. Tell everybody you know about Discord, and hit the like button. So back to trading in the OVTLYR trading room. Now, today is a closed day in the market, but I'm still going to go through the process and show you what I'm looking at. So what is OVTLYR and what does it do? Warren Buffett once said, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. OVTLYR shows you when investors are acting rationally fearful or greedy and by how much, which allows you to get into the stock before the OVTLYR move happens. And you can save 64%, which is just 82 cents a day if you want to pick up your annual pass. Now, my style of trading, I call the golden ticket trading strategy. It starts with the market. Let the market tell you where it's going. So if I go to the SPY and we look at this trend right here, right? Going back to this, the 10-period EMA, the blue line, is under the 20-period EMA, the black line. Price is under the 50-period EMA, the red line. So you've got your 10 under your 20, price under your 50. So your short, medium, and long-term averages are all pointing south, which makes this a bearish trend. Not saying that it's going to crash or anything like that. No market calls like that, but the trend is currently down. We still have if we go to the SPY and OVTLYR, I believe we still are sitting on a sell signal. Oh, and you know what? Let me catch up on this. I believe ESAT asked me earlier about Palantir, right? Yeah. What do I think about Palantir? We'll do that in just a moment. So we still have a sell signal on the SPY, the sell signal that came through on November 21st. And then if we go to the market breadth, we talked earlier about how the breadth was increasing in the tech sector. Now, breadth is the number of stocks moving together, right? When there's a high amount of correlation with your breadth there, that's what you want to see. And we are seeing here that the breadth has flatlined and is going back up. So we have bullish breadth right now where we have a bearish trend. And that's not what I want to see. When they move together, that's when things are so much easier. Oh my gosh, right? I've gotten 80+% win rate, nearly 90% win rates just waiting on that, right? So for me personally, I'm going to sit out because the SPY still has a sell signal. The market trend is down and the market breadth is bullish. And if we had a stock to look at, we'd look at that sector as well. But let's talk about Palantir. We don't have enough data in Palantir because it's not that old, right? Palantir is, I don't know how old it is, PLTR. Let's go to the monthlies real quick. Yeah, Palantir came on the market in 2020. I know we need at least 5 or more years of data. So we're getting close to it to be able to consider to be part of OVTLYR. So I can't give you any OVTLYR perspective on that, but I will tell you my personal perspective on this. So remove all annotations in this. It's in a very bullish trend, or at least it was, right? I've talked about Palantir a lot in the last few videos. We hit a low in May, and ever since then, it's been really skyrocketing higher. But it looks like the trend is reversing. You've got your 10, 20, 50 starting to point the other way. But keep in mind, look at this candle right here. It looks like it bounced right off that 50-period moving average. So the real test will be, will it go up, right? Will it go up from this point? Or will it go down from this point? Right. That's the real test. And I'm not really sure about that because the way that I measure a short-term trend is the blue line. And that's your 10-period moving average. If it's above your 10-period moving average, that's a bullish trend, right? Look at it right there. The whole time up here, it never crossed under the 10 until December 18th, right? Crossed over, never crossed it, crossed back down. Now, this is crossed under both the 10 and the 20. So currently, this is sitting in a sideways to bearish trend. So personally, it's not one that I'd be looking to trade into. Peter says, question, If a trade is going planned for a longer time, but an event suddenly lets a stock close below the 10 EMA, do you still exit? Happened yesterday in Europe due to some Trump remarks. Dude, wherever it closes, like that's your signal, right? So if you've had it on for 3 weeks and it's working great, I mean, this is a decent example right here, right? You've had it on for months, and then all of a sudden you get one piece of bad news and it sells off, time's up, right? Now, it could do whatever, right? It could continue on. In fact, if we go to the election, right? The market popped right up and it came right back down. And yeah, I traded on that and I got caught on the wrong side of that and it sucked. But I had to follow my trading plan, right, Peter? So the question is, did you make that trading plan and are you going to follow that trading plan? When would I buy? Palantir? I assume you mean Palantir. What I would do personally is I would wait to see what this is going to do. Now, I don't know what it's going to do, and I don't claim to know, and anybody who claims that they know doesn't know. I don't know what it's going to do. But if it can turn back around, right, if it can do something like this, then maybe that's an opportunity, right? Longer term trend, looking nice. The sector is looking bullish, but I would also wait for the market to start looking bullish, because if the market's pushing down, it's going to, a rising tide lifts all ship and a falling tide shows who's swimming naked. That's the rule of thumb there, right? And you want the market to be at your back. You don't want to be going against the market. You don't want to be the one stock out there being, you know, the what do they say, the nail that sticks out gets hammered down. You don't want to be in the nail, right? When everything else is getting hammered down. So I would definitely wait until the market, personally, this is just my opinion, I would wait until the market decides to start going back up. You've already got the market breadth moving up, wait for the market trend to start going back up. And then when Palantir itself starts going up as well, then you'd have a strong correlation for all three moving together. I meant stock and trend went back up. If a trade is going against you, do you still... I'm sorry, Peter, I don't understand the question. Sorry, dude. I meant Palantir. What would your price need for thinking of buying it? Probably 78 to 80. I know that that's probably the opposite of what you would expect, because I'm not a value investor. Not at all. Not in the least. I'm a trend trader. And with trend trading, you actually want price going higher to get into it, right? For example, on the other end of Palantir, right, when it was going down. Wait, AMD. AMD is a great example. In fact, that's what I was kind of just mentioning to... who was that earlier? ESAT, right? In AMD, somebody may have loved it at 160 or at 150 or at 140 or at 130 and now at 120, right? But that doesn't mean that that's the time to buy. If it's gone from 120 up to 130, I'm way more interested than if it's going from 130 to 120. So that just shows the strength behind it. You're welcome, my dude. So I really appreciate everybody coming today. This is really good. Be sure you come back every single day to do this, right? Because we go live every day. I hope you can make it too. No trade setup for me today, but of course, let me know in the chat what you're trading and come back tomorrow to save time, make money, and start winning with less risk together as a team. And let us know if you need anything over in the Discord. Thanks so much for coming to today's OVTLYR Trading Room. We'll talk soon.